welcome to another video tutorial. My name is Britta Swiderski, and today I wanted to do a little bit of playing with this awesome leaf background cling stamp. I was sent this by Simon so that I could get a little sneak peek of their Stamptember release, which is probably their biggest release of the year. It's their special celebration where they release a whole bunch of new product and then have awesome stuff going on throughout their blog and website throughout the month. So they were kind enough to send me the leaf background cling stamp, and I wanted to make a card with it. By the way, excuse my voice, I have a sinus infection, so don't worry, you can't get sick over the internet, but sorry about my nasally voice right now. But we're going to make two backgrounds because I really like using this technique, and distress markers are really great for coloring leaves and backgrounds that have multiple pieces to them. So I picked out some colors here. What I'm going to use today is just a wide variety of markers, and the big deal with covering a background like this is to pick a color that all of the things can have in common. So in this case I'm picking mustard seed. So I can put mustard seed all over this background to make sure that all the leaves are covered, and then go in with my other colors so that even when the greens and the oranges and the red, even the red mixed with the yellow, it's not going to look muddy. So you wouldn't want to cover the whole thing with green and then go over it with orange and red. It would turn out brown. So that's the secret. The really great part to distress marker coloring is you could literally color this stamp, let it sit out overnight, and then come back, mist it just a little bit with water, and then stamp it perfectly fine. Because distress markers actually dry pretty quickly, so you kind of have to mist it anyways. So you can take your sweet time coloring in whatever amount of detail you want. I'm going to start off with just coloring the entire background. So you can see, you definitely can see where the marker is going on here. And you just want to make sure to cover the entire background. That way, no matter what happens, we will have some color on this, and you won't have any blank spots on your card. Alright, so now we have our whole background covered, just making sure every little area is covered, and then this will create a really cohesive look. Now I'm going to go in and add in, I'm just going to go in order, I think, and add in leaves so that it looks like I have a nice little fading out into fall. I'm gonna do it a little bit kind of like a gradient, going up like this, and we'll see what happens. So I'm gonna do a few dark ones in the corner and then towards the green, keep a couple open of course, and then it's gonna have some interspersed amongst the rest of the leaves. So I guess we'll just see what happens. So I'm just going to start with the forest moss and color in a few leaves at a time. Alright, so I'm done with the forest moss, so now I'm just going to go in with my next color. I'm going to be doing peeled paint, followed by wild honey, spiced marmalade, ripe persimmon, and barn door. So I'm just going to speed this up so you can watch me color, and I'm just going to start creating this wonderful little fall scene right across our background. Alright, so I'm done coloring my stamp. I'll hold it up here so you can see that I've colored in the whole thing. And honestly, you really don't know what it's going to look like until you stamp it. This is kind of, it's always a surprise, which is fun and also terrifying. So what we're going to do, I'm going to make two backgrounds. First will be the first impression. Second will be the second impression. It'll be much lighter, but the color is so strong in these markers that just with a simple spritz of water, you can really get a great background. I actually usually like the second one even more than I like the first one because it gives the colors a chance to kind of mellow out. I'm using the Distress Watercolor cardstock by Tim Holtz. I'm going to be using the smooth side because with detailed designs I feel like it works a little bit better when you use smoother paper. And all I'm going to do to prepare this is just spray it with a very, very light mist so you can barely see the droplets on here. I'm going to do it off my screen though so I don't get my paper wet. Alright, so I sprayed about 4 times and you can see there are little tiny water droplets on here. But I wasn't going for anything crazy. Lay it down as straight as you can. Hopefully that's mostly straight. And then I like to take a piece of scratch paper so that it doesn't get all over my hands. And press down, making sure to really let the watercolor absorb into the watercolor paper. Ooh, interesting. So we have kind of this, it's kind of 80s actually. If some of the leaves don't transfer over so well, you can always go back in and do touch-ups with your markers, so don't worry too much about that. We're going to go ahead and spray this again. I know it looks like it doesn't have very much color left on it, but you'll be surprised. And then I'll lay this card in almost the exact same place, and then use my paper again to smooth it down. So now we have an even lighter impression. Really, really beautiful, kind of just second impression. I really like it. It's so beautiful. I love the subtle look of this one. So as you can see here, there are a couple of, especially in the green parts, places where the ink didn't really evenly distribute when I pressed it into the paper. So I'm going in with a little tiny, tiny paintbrush and just moving the color around. I'm not looking to make the whole leaf the same color. I just want to smooth it out a little bit. And this will make all the difference in your card, especially when you're working with little details like this. Alright, so I've been through and I kind of evened out some of the areas on the leaves. And I really, really like how this has turned out. And I think it'll go really, really well with this navy color. Really make that fall wonderful pop. So I'm going to use this die from Simon Says Stamp. It's the Love Family Life one. And I'm actually going to do these top 2 sentiments, and I'm going to cut them out 3 times each so I can stack them on top of each other and have kind of a chipboard look. So I've cut all of these scripty words out of the navy paper. By the way, this paper is soft navy from Simon Says Stamp. I love navy as a neutral color. It's my favorite neutral and has been for a very long time. So I really like this paper and I'm going to be ordering more of it soon, definitely. So I have 3 of these though, and I don't want to have 3 loves on there, I just want 1. But I really want it to stand out. So what I'm going to do is use this pen, this Zig 2-way glue pen. It's probably the best pen I have for the best way to get small, tiny, tiny things glued together. And by just putting dabs of this on, it will help adhere to the other loves. Alright, so now I have my 3-layer thick sentiments. You can see they can definitely stand up to themselves. So I've went ahead, I trimmed off a little bit on each of the cards. So I'm going to glue these on. So now I'll just take this really thin tape. It's by Score Pal, I believe. I'll definitely link to all the supplies in this video in the YouTube description below and on my blog. Also with my favorite parts of the Simon Says Stamp release for this month. So make sure to check out the blog post to learn more about that. But adhering these pieces of vellum is really as simple as running a piece of this thin tape. This is 1/8 of an inch wide, so it'll fit pretty much anywhere. Along the very edge of this. You can even rip it right off. Kind of press it down with your finger, and then when you're ready, you peel back the release paper and you just let it fold around the inside of your card. So do this. I want my sentiment to be a little bit more towards the top than towards the bottom. And there you go. Now you just have to adhere the other side and you have perfectly invisible adhered vellum. Now I'll just use some multi-matte medium to adhere this to the vellum because this is going to be a stronger adhesive. When you're adhering paper to paper, the 2-way glue pen is just fine, But for stronger things, I really like to use the multi-matte medium. So placing dabs of that, and then I'll just center it in my vellum. And you have a little bit of wiggle room to work with too once you get this on here, especially since the matte medium is exactly the same color as this vellum is. So that's pretty nice. So now I'm just going to do the same thing to the family one. Okay, so now just a couple finishing touches we have here. With the eye, it does cut out a little dot for it, but I thought it'd be a little bit more interesting, and you know what, honestly easier to just use a self-adhesive pearl. So I'm just going to try to imitate with Copics the same color of the cardstock. And since Copics are alcohol based, they dry directly on even slippery surfaces like this pearl. Alright, and I'm just going to use my handy craft knife to place this down. And so now, two things left to do. I'm going to make sure that the vellum stands out just by drawing a simple line across where about an 1/8 of an inch to a 1/16 of an inch away from the edge of the vellum here. So just help it really pop off the card. And then last but certainly not least, I'm going to use some glossy accents to really just make this sentiment pop right off the card. And it's going to give it a really finished, awesome, kind of almost like thickers look. Alright, so here are the finished cards. Thank you so much for watching today's video tutorial. Let me know if you have any special requests in the comments section below. And be sure to check out my blog post for today, which will be linked in the description box below this video on YouTube, where you can see my favorite products from the new Simon Says Stamptember release, and where to buy all of the supplies I used on this card. So thank you so much again for watching, and I will see you next time.